Hey y'all, and welcome to the first episode in the series I'm calling Let's Make Over My Backyard. Today we're going to take this little grassy area and turn it into this. To complete this project, you will need 2x4s and a level, some stakes, we've made ours out of scrap wood, some gravel, a rake, these little rebar chairs as they're called, these wire mesh sheets. For the concrete, we used high strength concrete mix from Quikrete. And you'll need a extra 2x4 for a skirting board, a extension pole and a roller, this little edger tool, and don't forget your gloves and a dust mask. We roped off the area where we were going to be pouring our slab with some wooden stakes and some bungee cords. Now we did a 4-inch concrete pour, and then we needed room for the gravel and the rebar, so we were digging out a 6-inch pit here, and this is just dig and repeat. It was dig a load and take it to the truck, and luckily my aunt needed the extra dirt for her flower beds, so we had a place for it to go, but it was just dig, repeat. And then we flattened out the edges so that we could build the frame. Next was building the frame. We used 2x4s for this. Since we were going up against our house, we had to work around some foundation, and so we were notching that out there. And we had to work around weather conditions, but eventually we were able to stake it in and get it all level. And we are putting this right by the house, and so we put it on a slight slope so that the rain or any water will run away from the house and into the yard. Use a rake to kind of move around any remaining dirt in your pit and add any back that you need to level it out. And then we started adding the gravel, and this is just all-purpose gravel. We meant to grab drainage gravel, which we do add later because we didn't get enough bags of this all-purpose gravel. But I think that gravel is gravel, and you just need some kind of something under the concrete to boost it up. And as you can see, we had a gap where the boards were, so we had to fill that in with dirt and gravel before we put in the concrete. This gray rock is the drainage gravel I was talking about. We couldn't find this initially because it's stored in the garden section. So good to know when you're looking for drainage gravel at Lowe's. Then we put down the little rebar chairs and the wire rebar sheets on top of it. Then we're ready for the concrete. This is called a dry pour because you pour the concrete into your frame dry. You don't wet it first, and then once you've got all of your bags of concrete in, you level it out, and then we'll add the water later. So this is called using a 2x4 as a skirting board. It is a 2-person job. Luckily, my dad and my brother came to help my husband and I on this day, but it allows you to level out the concrete and see where you have too much concrete or where you have low spots, and you can go and fill them in. and then you run the skirting board back and forth until you get a flat surface. We thought we were going to use 36 bags of concrete. We ended up only needing 25, I think. So we had 9 or 8 bags left over, but better safe than sorry. This was the coolest part. Using a paint roller with, I think a 3/8 inch nap is what we used, to smooth out your lines on the concrete so that when you add the water, it looks like a just smooth professional surface. It's so satisfying to watch. You'll have to stay tuned for the timeline, but it was definitely satisfying. I probably should have done this step first, but we bought this little edger tool and it curves the edge of the concrete so you don't have super sharp edges, which as a mom was pretty important to me. And after I went around the whole pad, the little curved edge stayed and I was able to flatten out the edges that kind of sunk in where the tool was and flatten those out again to be one flat smooth surface. As you can see, those lines are just disappearing. And did I say how satisfying this was? Because it was pretty satisfying to watch and probably the easiest part of the whole experience. Now we're wetting the concrete. Use a hose attachment and put it to the mist setting. And don't do what we did and turn on your hose off of the concrete pad and then start to mist it, because we had those water droplets and those are going to become little dips in our concrete, and I'll show you those later. But you're going to mist the top until it is completely wet, and then you're going to repeat this process one more time an hour later. So it's not super time sensitive, but you do want to keep an eye on the clock as you go throughout the day. Once it's been misted twice, then you're going to wait another hour after the second misting and start soaking. With the misting, you are forming a crust, and within those 2 hours, the top of the concrete pad has gotten hard, and now you are soaking every hour, and you're going to soak twice per inch. So we did 4 inches, and so we did 8 soakings. The water is going to soak down and cure the rest of the concrete. Here's what the pad looked like the next morning. Sorry for how gloomy it was. I told you we were working around weather. Here is the pad a couple of days later. We had a little bit of cracking in some areas. There's this crack here, and then there is some areas where there were water spots that are going to be a bit of an issue, and then there was also a crack that came up right here. But so far it's still drying from all of the soaking, but it looks pretty good. So the next step will be to remove the frame, and then we'll use all of that dirt to fill in the areas we dug out to put the stakes. And then over there, we're going to make a little, we're going to put pea gravel here and then all over there. And then we're going to screen in our patio. And the whole reason we put this down was for a shed to go here. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is let this cure for a couple more days. And next week, we're going to do a stencil on here. while you enjoy this time lapse of the day that we did the pour, I'm going to just quickly summarize what to expect over the next couple of weeks and maybe answer a question or two. So we decided to do a concrete pad because the shed we bought needs a foundation. We got it from Costco. It was a really good deal. I think we got it over Mother's Day and it was on sale. So we are pouring this concrete pad for that, and then we're going to probably add a raised garden bed to it. I'm plan to stencil it. We're going to add a pea gravel area to the left of this pad where all of that dirt is. The patio under the balcony is going to get screened in, and that little area in between the concrete pads is also going to have pea gravel. It's just going to be a walkway to the shed. It was just a little bit easier to do a standalone pad than to try and connect it to the existing pad. We couldn't think of a way to do that professionally other than have it professionally done. So this saved some big bucks to use the rest of our budget to fund the backyard makeover in other areas, the pretty areas. And thankfully this will be mostly covered up, but I'm still going to make it pretty with a stencil because you guys loved that stencil video of my front porch. So I got to do it again. Can't disappoint. And yeah, so that's what we have planned. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like and please subscribe if you have not already. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by the mansion, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.